Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless Official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In a stunning turn of events that no one in Genoa City saw coming, Newman's Sharon case, world is about to unravel once again when a long-buried secret resurfaces, one that has the power to destroy lives and rewrite family bonds forever. For decades, Sharon and Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, have shared a deep and complicated love story, marked by passion, heartbreak, and the family they built together. But when Sharon makes a shocking confession about a DNA secret she's kept hidden for years, Nick's world will come crashing down around him. The revelation that Noah Newman's, Rory Gibson, true paternity may not be what everyone believed could send ripples through every corner of the Newman family and leave Sharon questioning every decision she's made since the day her son was born. It all begins quietly, with Sharon sitting alone at Crimson Lights late one evening, her hands trembling as she holds an old, yellowed envelope, one she's kept locked away for years in the back of a drawer. The envelope contains the results of a DNA test she hoped she'd never have to reveal. Sharon's memories flood back to the chaotic years of her early relationship with Nick, when they were young, reckless, and still figuring out who they were. It was a time when emotions ran high, and Sharon's connection with another man, one from her past, complicated everything she thought she knew about love and loyalty. That other man was Cameron Kirsten, the enigmatic businessman who once terrorized Sharon and returned from the dead not long ago. Long before his dangerous obsession took hold, Sharon had a brief, ill-fated affair with Cameron, a mistake she buried deep in the shadows of her conscience. When Sharon later discovered she was pregnant with Noah, she convinced herself that Nick was the father. After all, Nick had been the love of her life, and they were already rebuilding their marriage after a turbulent period. But when doubts crept in, Sharon secretly had a paternity test done to confirm the truth. The results devastated her. The test revealed that Cameron Kirsten, not Nick Newman, was Noah's biological father. Overwhelmed and terrified, Sharon made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. She destroyed the evidence and swore to herself that no one would ever know. She justified it by believing that Nick's love and devotion would be more valuable to Noah than the truth of his biological origins. For years, she buried the guilt deep within her, raising Noah under the belief that he was Nick's son. But now, after so many years of silence, Sharon finds herself unable to keep the secret any longer. The trigger for her confession comes when Noah falls ill, and doctors discover a rare genetic marker that complicates his treatment. During his hospitalization, medical specialists begin to ask questions about family medical history that don't seem to align with the Newman family's genetic background. Nick brushes off the inconsistencies, but Sharon can feel the walls closing in. Every question the doctors ask cuts deeper into her conscience until she realizes she can't lie anymore. When Nick presses Sharon about why she's acting so distant and emotional, she finally breaks down, her tears streaming as she blurts out, "Nick, there's something I've never told you about Noah. Something I should have told you a long time ago." Nick, already on edge because of Noah's condition, stares at Sharon in disbelief. "What are you talking about, Sharon? What could you possibly be hiding now?" he demands, his tone both fearful and angry. Sharon takes a deep breath, clutching her chest as if the truth itself is suffocating her. "Nick," she whispers, "the DNA results from when I was pregnant, they didn't match. You're not Noah's biological father." The silence that follows is deafening. Nick's eyes widen, his face turning pale as the weight of her words sinks in. He struggles to speak, to even breathe, as the truth tears through him like a blade. "You're lying," he says at first, shaking his head in disbelief. "You have to be lying. Why would you say something like that?" Sharon, sobbing uncontrollably, insists she's telling the truth. "I wish I was lying, Nick. But it's true. I had the test done in secret, and the results said Cameron Kirsten was Noah's father." Nick's expression hardens instantly, his heartbreak shifting into fury. He turns away, unable to look at Sharon as years of trust and love crumble in an instant. "You let me believe Noah was my son all this time? You let me raise him, love him, protect him, and you knew he wasn't mine?" Sharon pleads with him to understand that she was scared and that she didn't want to destroy their family. "I thought it didn't matter," she cries. "You loved him like your own, and that's what mattered most to me." But Nick isn't ready to forgive. The betrayal cuts too deep, especially because of who the real father is. To Nick, Cameron Kirsten isn't just a name from the past, he's a monster, the man who stalked and brutalized Sharon, the man who nearly destroyed her life and left a trail of trauma in his wake. The thought that Sharon could have carried his child, and kept it from him, is almost too much for Nick to bear. "You mean to tell me that my son, that the boy I've loved and raised for decades, is Cameron's?" Nick's voice cracks as he speaks, his anger giving way to devastation. "How could you not tell me, Sharon? How could you look me in the eye all these years and not say a word?" Sharon's explanation does little to ease the pain. She admits she convinced herself that the DNA test might have been wrong, and that by pretending the truth didn't exist, she could protect Noah from the dark legacy of Cameron's name. She didn't want her son to grow up haunted by the shadow of a criminal, especially one who later became one of Genoa City's most infamous figures. "I didn't want Noah to live with that kind of stain," Sharon says through tears. "I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was protecting him." But for Nick, the damage is irreversible. He feels as though his entire relationship with Sharon, and even his relationship with Noah, has been built on a lie. When he finally speaks, his voice is quiet but cold. "You didn't protect anyone, Sharon. You destroyed everything." With that, he walks out of her house, leaving Sharon collapsed on the floor, sobbing into her hands as the full weight of what she's done comes crashing down. In the days that follow, the fallout spreads fast. Word of the DNA revelation begins to circulate, first through Faith Newman and then to Mariah Copeland, who confronts her mother about the years of deception. Mariah, furious and heartbroken, tells Sharon that this isn't just about Nick, it's about the entire family. "You made a choice for all of us, and now Noah has to pay the price," Mariah says angrily. Sharon tries to hold her ground, insisting she did what she thought was best, but the truth continues to eat away at her. Meanwhile, Nick isolates himself, unable to look at Sharon or even visit Noah in the hospital. He struggles with conflicting emotions. His love for Noah hasn't changed, but every time he sees him, he's reminded of the truth Sharon hid from him. When Victor Newman, Eric Braden, learns of the situation, his reaction is explosive. The patriarch confronts Sharon with fury and disgust, accusing her of betraying his son and bringing shame to the Newman family. "You think you can lie to my son for decades and get away with it?" Victor growls. "You should have thought about the consequences before you decided to play God with his life." But Victor's wrath isn't the only storm Sharon has to face. Noah himself overhears part of the truth when a heated argument between his parents erupts in the hospital hallway. The moment Sharon realizes Noah has heard everything, it's too late. He looks at her with wide, stunned eyes, his entire sense of identity shattering in an instant. "So all these years, my dad isn't really my dad?" Noah says, his voice trembling. Sharon tries to reach for him, but he pulls away. "You lied to me my entire life," he says. "You lied to both of us." Noah's emotional breakdown sends shockwaves through everyone. His health crisis takes a back seat to the psychological trauma of learning that his biological father was a man like Cameron Kirsten, a criminal with a violent past who nearly destroyed his mother's life. The revelation sends Noah spiraling, leaving him questioning everything he thought he knew about himself. He confides in Mariah that he feels tainted by his bloodline, wondering if he's doomed to repeat the same darkness that Cameron carried. Mariah tries to reassure him that he's nothing like Cameron, but Noah's pain runs deep. "If I'm Cameron's son," he says bitterly, "then maybe all the mistakes I've made make sense." Back at the ranch, Nick faces his own emotional turmoil. Despite his anger, he can't shake the love he feels for Noah, the boy he raised from birth, the son who bears his mannerisms, his humor, and his heart. When Nikki Newman encourages him to go to the hospital, Nick finally does. The reunion between father and son is heart-wrenching. Noah, tears streaming down his face, tells Nick, "I understand if you don't see me as your son anymore." But Nick shakes his head, his voice firm yet filled with emotion. You'll always be my son, Noah. I don't care what any DNA test says. You're my boy, and nothing will ever change that. The moment is powerful, but it doesn't erase the devastation Sharon's lie has caused. In the aftermath, Sharon tries to make amends. She visits Noah privately, begging for his forgiveness. She explains that her fear of losing both Nick and Noah drove her to make choices she can't undo. Every day, I told myself I'd find the courage to tell you the truth, she admits softly. But every time I looked at you, I saw Nick in your eyes, and I convinced myself it didn't matter. Noah listens, his expression torn between love and pain. You should have trusted me, he says quietly. You should have trusted us. Sharon nods, knowing that trust is something she may never fully earn back. As the storyline unfolds, Genoa City will be left reeling from Sharon's confession. Nick and Sharon's once unbreakable bond may finally be shattered beyond repair, while Noah struggles to come to terms with the truth about his lineage. The emotional aftershocks will ripple through every family member, especially when whispers emerge that Cameron Kirsten may have left behind another hidden child, opening the door to an even darker chapter in the Newman family's legacy. For now, though, the question that haunts everyone is simple yet earth-shattering: who is Noah Newman, really? The answer may have changed on paper, but in the hearts of those who love him, he remains the same. Still, as Sharon faces the wreckage of her choices, she's forced to live with the truth that love built on lies can only stay hidden for so long, and when the truth finally comes out, it doesn't just destroy relationships, it rewrites lives forever. The aftermath of Sharon's confession sends shockwaves throughout Genoa City, shaking the very foundation of everything the Newmans believed to be true. Sharon Newman sits alone in the quiet darkness of her living room at the cottage, replaying her confession to Nick over and over again. Every word, every tear, every breath feels like a punishment she knows she deserves. The sound of Nick's voice, broken, furious, and betrayed, echoes in her mind. You destroyed everything, Sharon. She knows he's right. For years, she told herself she had buried that secret out of love. Now, she's forced to face the devastating truth: lies told in love can still break hearts beyond repair. The fallout is relentless. Nick has shut her out completely. Calls go unanswered, texts left unread. Even at the hospital, he keeps his distance, refusing to speak to her except through curt, polite exchanges when necessary for Noah's care. The man who once loved her more than life itself now looks at her like a stranger. Sharon feels that loss like a knife to her chest, knowing she's not just lost Nick, she's lost the respect and trust of her entire family. At Crimson Lights, whispers start to spread. Genoa City is a town that feeds on secrets, and Sharon's are always the juiciest. It begins innocently enough, a conversation overheard by Phyllis Summers, who can't resist spreading the word. Phyllis's smirk as she tells Lauren Fenmore what she heard is laced with just enough venom to make the story sting. Apparently, Sharon's been hiding the biggest secret of all: Noah's not even Nick's son. Can you imagine? All those years of playing happy family, and it was all built on a lie. Lauren gasps, stunned, while Phyllis takes a sip of her coffee, clearly enjoying every bit of the drama. When the rumor finally reaches Victor Newman, his fury becomes the stuff of legend. He storms into Sharon's cottage unannounced, his voice booming like thunder. How dare you betray my son like this, he bellows. You think you can play with my family's name, with my bloodline? You've humiliated Nicholas, and for what? To protect the spawn of a monster like Cameron Kirsten? Sharon trembles under Victor's wrath but stands her ground, her voice shaking. I didn't want Noah to live under that shadow. I didn't want him to know his father was a criminal. I thought I was protecting him. But Victor isn't moved. You protected no one. You brought shame to us all. My grandson deserves the truth, and my son deserves justice. Victor's words pierce Sharon's heart. For the first time in years, she feels the full weight of being an outsider in the Newman world again. Nikki, meanwhile, tries to mediate, reminding Victor that Sharon's decision, however wrong, was made out of fear and love. You can't undo what's been done, Victor, Nikki says softly. All we can do now is help Noah heal. But Victor's fury doesn't fade. He vows to protect his family from further scandal, even if it means pushing Sharon out of their lives for good. Meanwhile, Noah's world continues to spiral. The once grounded and artistic young man now finds himself lost in confusion and pain. He spends long hours in his hospital bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory he has with Nick, every lesson, every father-son moment. It was all real, he tells himself. It has to be real. But the doubt lingers like poison in his veins. When Sharon visits him, he can barely look at her. I don't even know who I am anymore, he admits. You lied to me about something that defines me. Sharon tries to reach him, explaining that his identity isn't defined by blood but by love, by the person he's become. But Noah isn't ready to hear that yet. You chose my story for me, Mom. You decided who I should be. And now, I don't even recognize myself. In a desperate move to make amends, Sharon turns to Michael Baldwin, hoping for legal guidance about the paternity situation. Michael, sympathetic but honest, warns her that once the truth becomes public record, there's no going back. This kind of revelation doesn't just blow over Sharon, he tells her. It changes everything, from inheritance issues to family dynamics. Are you ready for that? Sharon shakes her head, tears forming. No, she whispers. But I have to be. It's time everyone knows the truth. Meanwhile, Nick's heartbreak turns to anger and self-reflection. He starts to question his own judgment. How could he have missed the signs? He spends time at the underground, drowning his pain in work, until Faith finds him there late one night. She approaches her father with tears in her eyes. Dad, you can't just keep avoiding Mom, she pleads. We're all hurting. Noah's hurting. You need to talk to her. Nick sighs, weary and bitter. Your mother lied to me for over 20 years, Faith. How am I supposed to forgive that? Faith doesn't have an answer, but she reminds him that Noah still needs his family together right now, even if everything feels broken. In the days that follow, Noah is discharged from the hospital, though his emotional wounds are far from healed. He moves temporarily into the Newman ranch under Victor's watchful eye. Victor insists on running his own DNA test to confirm the results Sharon confessed. When the test comes back positive for Cameron Kirsten, it becomes undeniable, Sharon's story was true. The confirmation sends another wave of pain through the family. Victoria is disgusted, Adam is quietly intrigued, and Nick is left hollow, staring at the report that officially strips him of biological paternity. He'll always be my son, he mutters, clutching the paper, but this changes everything. As Noah begins to piece together what it means to be Cameron's son, he becomes consumed with questions about his biological father. Against everyone's advice, he begins to research Cameron's life, his crimes, his manipulations, his legacy. The deeper he digs, the more obsessed he becomes. Sharon catches him late one night scrolling through old news articles, his face pale and tense. I need to know who he was, Noah says flatly. If I'm his son, I need to know what that means. Sharon tries to stop him, but it's too late, the darkness of Cameron's past has already taken hold in Noah's mind. Things take a darker turn when Noah reaches out to one of Cameron's old business associates, hoping to learn more about his biological father's past. The man warns him to stay away, hinting that Cameron may have left behind unfinished business, and possibly other children. This revelation shocks Noah and sets off another mystery. Could there be another Kirsten heir out there? Sharon panics when she learns of Noah's search, fearing that digging too deep could put him in danger. She knows Cameron's world was filled with dangerous people who wouldn't hesitate to manipulate Noah if they knew his true parentage. At the same time, Sharon's emotional turmoil deepens. She begins to have nightmares about Cameron, memories she thought she'd buried coming back in vivid flashes. She dreams of the night she found out she was pregnant, of the fear that consumed her, and of the moment she burned the first DNA report. Each dream feels more real than the last, and Sharon begins to unravel emotionally. When Chance Chancellor finds her alone at Crimson Lights one night, trembling and lost in thought, he gently urges her to seek help. You've been through hell, Sharon, he says softly. You can't keep carrying this alone. Sharon nods weakly, knowing he's right, but her guilt makes it hard to breathe, let alone move forward. Nick, meanwhile, struggles with his own form of identity crisis. Though he tells himself that love is stronger than blood, he can't stop feeling like an imposter in Noah's life. When Noah reaches out one afternoon and tries to have a normal conversation, Nick shuts down. "I'm trying, Dad," Noah says quietly, using the word dad hesitantly. Nick looks away, his eyes full of pain. "I know," he replies. I don't know who I am in all this anymore." That confession devastates Noah, who begins to realize just how deep his mother's lie has wounded both of them.